Steve Rose got it on with Edgar Berlanga Saturday night. I'm just gonna give my post-fight thoughts on this fight. Uh, my original prediction was for Edgar Berlanga to straight run through this dude. You know, Steve Rose is an older cat, 37 years old. Um, you can say he's over the hill. Scared fight. He's a scary fighter. No real threat not a real power threat, but nonetheless, he's still a skilled fighter. I always thought Steve Rose had good footwork and pretty good boxing skill. And here's what I think about this fight, man. I'm just gonna give my honest opinion on it. You know, Edgar Berlanga, man, when he first came out in the pros, he was on this. I told you, they built him up to be this big knockout monster, this knockout king. I think he was on a 16-0 run. So they were feeding him these dudes that he wasn't really getting the rounds in, and that's not good. That's not good for a boxer's development. When you give him all D level or like C level fighters, you gotta like mix it up a little bit. And he was running through these guys, man. He had the whole 16-0 first rounds. He was knocking dudes out straight. 16, I think it was 16 KOs in the first round. And that was what he was running off of, man. And everybody was hyped. You remember when Edgar got up there and said, I forgot which fight it was. He knocked dude out. He was like, "I'm a motherfucking monster." You remember that? Well, all that monsterism came to a halt when he fought Caceres. And I had got that fight almost right because I said, I had bet on that fight. I said Caceres was looking real serious at that weigh-in, man. Something about it, just, I was like, yo, this dude gonna give Edgar some problems. He might even win. Said that. He almost won. And I was thinking in my Edgar Berlanga versus Steve Rose prediction, I was like, yo, maybe this is a step back fight. This is a step back from Caceres. And in a sense, it is. But then, because, when you consider Steve Rose's age and you consider, he hasn't really been a big noisemaker like that. You know what I'm saying? But when you see, now you look and you see when you get into the ring, after you got all these knockouts, you get into the ring with somebody with some foot movement and a whole lot of body movement, a whole lot of movement around the ring, that's causing Edgar Berlanga some issues, man. But he won the fight. I think, like I said, they hyped him up too much, man, and that was bad. And he still needs a lot of work, man. He needs work. He has the potential. He's still young, so he has some time to develop, man. But he got to get the right people in his corner. The whole night, the jab was almost non-existent, man. He was doing like this pawing jab, and he was catching rolls with a few of them. It was rarely heavy jabs. You could tell a difference in power. You could just hear the shots. He definitely got some power. His power seemed real. His power don't seem fake. It seemed real. It seemed like he got some pop. But see, the thing is, when you fighting dudes like Rolls or dudes that's higher caliber, the power, man, that's not gonna get you. That's not gonna mean everything. You gotta learn how to deliver it and how to mix it up and get that power going in tricky manners sometimes. When you keep doing the same thing, they expecting you to throw this punch, or you telegraphing, or they gonna see him every time. But you gotta mix it up, outbox with the power a little bit, bring him back in, play around with it. And I don't really see that from Edgar. I don't see him. I see the potential in him, though. He definitely has some skills, but he has to work on it. He has a lot of work to do, man. They had that fight. I mean, I think Steve Rose won. And here's what I came up with. I came up with 7-3 for Steve Rose. That's what I came up with. I had Steve Rose winning rounds 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had Edgar Berlanga winning 3, 4, and 5. That's what Um, Towards the end, like the seventh round is when Steve Rose really started putting it on. We started putting them combos together more. He started hitting Berlanga more with the jab, mixing it up a little bit more, hitting him with some more conviction. Then I think early in the, I think it was second round, I think Steve Rose elbowed Berlanga and cut his left eye. But it wasn't nothing major. It had no real effect on him in the fight. But I had Steve Rose winning 7 rounds to 3 against Edgar Berlanga. This is a smaller Steve Rose that looked like a fucking. He looked like he was a fucking welterweight or a middleweight. I mean, a super welterweight in that ring, man. Berlanga looked like a fucking. I don't know what he looked like. He looked like he was either a cruiser or he was heavy looking in that ring, dude, compared to Steve Rose. And he wasn't able to really buckle Steve Rose. So a lot of people are going to come and start questioning Edgar Berlanga's power. See, when you go in there with somebody that's 37, 30, older, and you expecting to knock this dude out, or expecting you to put on a clinic, and then you don't even really hurt the dude, and he's smaller than you, that's leaving a lot of stuff, a lot of, outside eyebrows, man, because they're like, yo, you've been knocking all the other dudes out. What happened with Caceres? What happened with Steve Rose? If you look at Caceres, he moved around a lot more. He had good footwork. And Edgar was just following Steve Rose around, and he didn't seem like he really knew how to cut the ring off. Like, he'll follow him, get him to the corner, stand there, and didn't know what to do with Steve Rose. So, yeah, he definitely needs some work. I wouldn't say this is the end of Edgar Berlanga, but I will say, like, he was a hype job, and that hype train has came to an end. I've said this already, and the more he gets up in comp, you're going to start seeing that more. He's gonna need some more fights and a whole lot more fights before he's ready for like a Benavidez and Canelo. Now let me say this: if he was to fight like a Canelo or a Benavidez or somebody like that, the higher caliber dudes at 168, Edgar Berlanga still has the power where he can cause an upset. Don't ever think that that's not possible, because Deontay Wilder was a guy that everybody say didn't have boxing skill, and he was very unorthodox and all of this, but all you need is that one punch. And not to say that's what you need to depend on, because you can't just depend on that one punch. But what I'm saying is, if he was to get in the ring with them, if he clipped them the right way, he can hurt them. Absolutely. I don't know what happened that night with Steve Rose, why he couldn't hurt Steve Rose. But like I said, seeing that, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it like, okay, he didn't hurt Steve Rose, so how's he gonna hurt Canelo or David Benavidez or Demetrius Andrade? Maybe Steve Rose just got a good chin. You know what I mean? Who knows, right? And maybe he'll find a weak spot on Canelo's chin, or a weak spot on Benavidez or Andrade's chin, and then he can probably knock him out. But them dudes can definitely knock him out, though. Absolutely. I think Andrade can knock him out. And I think Canelo and David Benavidez definitely can knock him out. I think Edgar Berlanga's defense he needs work. I wouldn't say it's the worst. It's not like Blade Cobbs or some shit like that, but he can use some work on his defense as well, man. But overall, I think he's an okay fighter. Right now he's looking pretty basic. He has to work on that jab, and definitely got to work on his footwork a little bit more. But I got Steve Rose winning that fight, man. But he pretty much, I think it was a robbery. I think Edgar Berlanga only won 3 rounds in that fight. So to recap, I got Edgar Berlanga winning 3, 4, and 5. I got Steve Rose winning 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I know a lot of y'all gonna think a little different from me, but that's what I saw in the fight, man. But anyway, I'm off this, man. Let me know what y'all think about this fight. Like, subscribe, comment. I will catch you guys later on the next one. And I'm off this. Peace.